When I criticize China's anti-freedom regime, some say, "You're anti-China. OMG, he's anti-China." I say, no, I'm not. I'm anti-Chinese regime's political system because it represents no free speech, no free press, no free assembly, no free association. China's people are good. It's the Chinese regime's anti-democracy dictatorship led by Jinping Xi that's bad. Boo-how means not good. It's important to distinguish between loving the country China and loving the Chinese Communist Party. Boo to Jinping Xi's Marxist-Leninist political system, which is the greatest threat to America's democracy. My beef is with Jinping Xi, General Secretary of the Communist Party of China, because they're the enemy of democracy. They're the enemy of freedoms. They're the enemy of human rights. Look, I'm just a nice Jewish boy from New York that cherishes our civil rights, which are being threatened by the Chinese Communist regime. This is why I'm making noise. China's so-called President Xi shouldn't be called president because he wasn't elected by China's people. Jinping Xi was selected by 2,964 members of the Communist Party of China, not by China's citizens who can't vote for who they want to be governed by. Call Jinping Xi what Chinese so-called officials call him, General Secretary, not President. Jinping Xi's non-elected, illegitimate elite rulers, aka Communist Party of China, is China's so-called government. Open your eyes, people. China's Marxist-Leninist ideology is the enemy of our civil liberties. Their anti-freedom, poisonous political system is the biggest threat to every country's democracy. There's no academic freedom in China, no artistic freedom, no comedy freedom, no music freedom, no filmmaking freedom. China's political system is bad. No journalism freedom in China, no information freedom in China, no media freedom, no social media freedom, no internet freedom, no publishing freedom. This is why China's political system is seriously flawed. No peaceful protest freedom in China, no political freedoms, no personal freedoms, no travel freedoms, no trade freedoms, no financial freedoms, no reproductive freedoms, no religious freedoms, no open debate freedoms, no independent thought freedom. China's the only country that has a thought police, proving that China's inferior political system is not compatible with the rest of the world. Chinese communist regime wants to kill everything we live for. China's communist regime is a virus to our way of life. Bad enough, China's people have to live under the Chinese communist regime's repressive political system. Even worse, Jinping Xi is exporting his anti-democratic ideals globally. Chinese regime is undermining Cambodia's democracy, undermining Nepal's democracy, undermining Vietnam's democracy, Thailand's democracy, the Maldives' democracy, Zimbabwe's democracy, Sudan's democracy, Cuba's democracy. China's destabilizing Venezuela's democracy. 140 Venezuelans have been shot to death while peacefully demonstrating for democracy. They're literally dying for democracy because Venezuelans think democracy is worth dying for. Venezuelans and Iranians' desire for democracy is admirable and inspirational. Every country should have democratic constitutionalism because that's what's best for their people. But China's communist regime is doing the opposite by exporting their anti-civil liberties ideology globally and spreading their anti-open society political system worldwide. China taking an axe to the world's democratic norms is why democracies have been on the decline globally for 11 years. The Chinese Communist regime is causing the demise of democracies worldwide. Alarm bells should be ringing. The Chinese regime's goal is to kill democracy. Emergency alert to every country that cherishes your civil liberties. Your country's democracy is at stake. Don't take democracy for granted. Code red, code red. Death of democracy by China. The United States is a pillar for freedom. China's a pillar for anti-freedom repression. USA's democracy, freedoms, and human rights are our greatest virtues. That's why everyone wants to come to the U.S., because USA is a beacon for democracy. China's a beacon for anti-democracy dictatorship. It's the United States' responsibility to protect our democratic allies against China. America's a force for good. China's a force for bad. Shame on China. Shame on Jinping Xi for propping up the world's worst tyrants. And the Chinese regime is not just trying to kill every country's democracy. Chinese regime also wants to destroy the international rules-based world order U.S. created after winning World War II. After WW2, U.S. started a high-standard global rules-based system so disagreements can be resolved peacefully, according to fair and objective rules that every country agreed to. But now China is breaking these rules. The Chinese rule-breaking regime is trying to kill this global law-based governance system. China's violating World Trade Organization. China's violating World Health Organization. China's violating United Nations International Labor Organization. China's violating UN global humanitarian laws. China's violating global animal rights standards because the Chinese regime is against the standards of a civilized country. China upending the existing rules-based world order's universal norms and values is the most important story today. One more time, because that's what this show is all about. The Chinese regime overthrowing the existing rules-based world order universal norms and values is the most important issue today. You understand? Capiche? The global order, the greatest generation left us after winning World War II, is under attack. Sound the alarm! World order at stake because China, who was a victim during World War II, is now trying to destroy the world's high-standard global order. China has no right to ruin the rules-based world order. China didn't win World War II. China lost World War II. United States saved China from Japan. If U.S. didn't rescue China, Chinese would be speaking Japanese right now. If U.S. didn't liberate China, China would be a colony of Japan today. China should say thank you, thank you, thank you, USA, for freeing China. But the Chinese communist revisionist regime lies to Chinese people today and tells them U.S. is bad. Instead of telling the truth, how Mao's Communist Party of China didn't fight the Japanese. What a joke. Chiang Kai-shek's Nationalist Army fought the Japanese with U.S. help. Mao ran away. That's what the Long March was. Mao retreating from fighting the Japanese. Chinese regime wants to remake the world economic system and control a new global political order, but the world doesn't want to be molded by China's anti-freedom Marxist-Leninist philosophy that opposes universal human rights values? No, to China's poisonous political system model going global. Hell no to China's inferior political system model going global. If China continues to violate global laws, then the world community should slap sanctions against China for violating Earth's rules. If China persists in pushing their low principles worldwide, then China shouldn't be a part of the global community. If China continues to violate world law and order, then China shouldn't be a part of the global community's shared destiny. The Chinese regime tried to get the United Nations to remove the text about freedom of expression from United Nations documents because Jinping Xi is the enemy of the UN Charter's founding core values. This is a huge problem. United Nations has been corrupted by China. China's the world's worst human rights violator, yet they have a seat on the UN's Human Rights Council. That's an oxymoron. Talk about the fox being in charge of the hen house. China's made the United Nations become irrelevant. China ruined the United Nations. China should be kicked out of the UN because the Chinese regime violates the UN's Committee Against Torture laws, because China violates UN Convention on Refugees, because China violates United Nations Law of the Sea, because China violates humanitarian laws every single day. Here's a grotesque example. The Chinese regime has been removing China's political prisoners' hearts, livers, kidneys, so they can sell them to transplant tourists so China's rulers can get rich off of China's people's body parts. It's called organ harvesting. The Chinese regime has murdered 1 million Chinese prisoners of conscience for their organs. It's been a multi-billion-dollar cash cow for China's hospitals. No other country on earth steals their non-consenting citizens' organs and sells them to make money. Just China. Flagrant violation of global organ transplantation laws. Red flag. Chinese regime getting away with genocide today. Red flag against China for introducing humanity to a new evil on earth. Shame, Chinese regime. Shame on you. Christians are also victims of organ harvesting. Xi Jinping is behind China's anti-Christian campaign that has taken down 1,200 crosses from churches. She's responsible for bulldozing churches. She's had Chinese Christian pastors and other Christians jailed, even though they've never committed any crime. Xi should be a persona non grata in the United States for his crimes against Christians. China's constitution says there's religious freedom. That's a lie. There's no religious freedom in China. Jinping Xi is in serious violation of China's constitution. This is the China model that Xi wants to export and force onto the rest of the world. Wake up, people. Falun Gong and Christians aren't the only people being targeted by the Chinese regime. Jinping Xi's China also attacks China's human rights lawyers, labor activists, feminists, environmentalists, bloggers, journalists, publishers, and democracy advocates like the late, great Liu Xiaobo, whose wife Liu Xia is still under house arrest after 7 years, even though she's never committed any crime. Violation, red flag against the Chinese regime for violating international humanitarian laws. Jinping Xi is ruining all of these people's lives. Jinping Xi's thugs also attack petitioners who go to Beijing to file complaints that their land was stolen from them by officials. Then they get sent to jail because they petitioned, ruining these people's lives too. And the Chinese regime is ruining Tibetan people's lives. And they're ruining Uyghurs people's lives. And ruining Mongolian people's lives. There's a long list of the victims of the Chinese communist regime's injustices. Because there's no justice in China. There's no rule of law in China because there's no independent judiciary in China. Chinese Communist Party controls their kangaroo courts that dole out miscarriages of justice. China's made a mockery of high global judicial standards. China has no respect for any country's rule of law. China's Marxist, Leninist philosophy is not appealing. The Chinese regime's anti-rule of law political system is the pits. China's autocratic regime is not an attractive political system. This is common sense. Communist Party of China is a clear and present danger to every freedom-loving country on earth. China's political system is not admired by anyone, especially by China's people who are unhappy under China's corrupt, one-party police state political system. They're a scourge to civil societies everywhere. China's regime is a menace to every country's society. China's people need to rise up, stop being slaves of the Communist Party of China, unite and rid China and Earth of the Chinese Communist Party. Chinese Communist regime belongs in the dustbin of history, should be in the wing of a museum for evil dictatorships. I'm going to perform an exorcism because the Chinese communist demons are possessed and they've infected our planet. Please, Lord, hear me. God, you need to destroy the Communist Party of China. Be gone, Communist China, evil spirits that's plaguing our planet. Be gone, Chinese communist anti-democracy devils. Jinping Xi is Satan. She is the devil in disguise. Chinese communist demons are liars. They're the father of lies, and they seek to poison your mind. They want to confuse you. Don't ever believe their lies. Their wicked political system is a virus to democracies worldwide. Chinese communists are deceitful sinners. They're international criminals. Be gone! Be gone! Chinese communist evil spirits, so China's constitution can be changed. World wants liberalism, not Leninism. It's the will of China's people to have democracy. That's the Chinese dream, democracy. China's people hate the Chinese regime's one-party political system because it's a scandalous power structure that's prevented democracy, which has severely stunted every aspect of China's social development over the past 30 years. China's Communist Party has been a millstone around China's people's necks. China's Communist Party has been an albatross around China's people's necks. Therefore, it's the right of China's people to alter it or abolish it. Chinese citizens want higher principles than what the Communist Party is offering. They don't want the Chinese communists' destructive, failed authoritarianism. China's future is for the Chinese people to decide, and China's people desire democracy. Chinese want constitutional democracy that has checks and balances to limit the Chinese communist rule. That's why the United States' three branches of government, legislative, executive, and judiciary, is a superior political system because they keep each other in check. Unlike China's one-party, anti-freedom, inferior political system, it's a clash of civilizations. High-caliber, constitutional, democratic political system versus China's one-party, police-state dictatorship that's been the only governing political party since 1949. It's every Chinese citizen's right and duty to help shape the future legacy of China, which is a democratic, constitutional, electoral system, by far the superior political system. Free and fair elections for all of China's people. That's the best political system. Chinese people want multi-party elections in China. Just like the sovereign, self-governing Democratic Republic of Taiwan has, all of China's people should be allowed to register to vote. Voter participation for all of China's people need polling booths so all of China's citizens can cast their ballots and vote for who they want to be governed by. One person, one vote for all of China's citizens in free and fair multi-party elections. Now, I'm going to talk about animal rights, specifically humans' best friend, my beloved dogs. You could starve them to death. They'll still wag their tail and greet you at the front door when you come home, even if you're starving them to death. I love dogs. There's going to be some disturbing images, so I just want to give you a heads up about that. Because it's never a good year for dogs in China. 20 million dogs are killed every year in China for their meat, their skin, and their fur. China killing 20 million dogs every year is genocide against dogs. Last place a dog wants to be? In China. Because Chinese are committing genocide against dogs every single year. Big time red flag. This is one reason why the world is mad as hell at China. And we're not taking it anymore. World has had it up to here with China's animal abuses. Don't visit China until Jinping Xi ends China's vile dog breeding farms. Boycott going to China until anti-democracy dictator Jinping Xi ends China's dog slaughterhouses. China's dog and cat meat trade industry is an abomination. China's annual Yulin Dog Eating Festival kills 10,000 dogs during a 2-week span every June so they can eat the poor dogs. This is causing a global outcry. World is outraged. And instead of stopping, Chinese people say, oh, it's our culture. That's a lie. Yulin Dog Eating Festival started in 2009, only 8 years ago, to celebrate the summer solstice. Never believe their lies. It's not culture, it's torture. China's barbaric dog and cat meat trade industry is a disgrace to the human race. Traditional Chinese medicine says eating dog meat regulates the heat of our body. Another lie. Eating dog meat doesn't regulate the heat of our bodies. Traditional Chinese medicine is folklore. Traditional Chinese medicine is quackery. It's ridiculous to think dog meat regulates the heat of our bodies. Traditional Chinese medicine is crackpot science. And the Chinese people are eating dogs all year, not just 2 weeks in June during Yulin's Dog Eating Festival. Chinese are eating dogs 365 days a year. Don't visit China until Chinese anti-animal rights ruler Jinping Xi bans China's Yulin Dog Killing and Eating Festival. No China vacation until Communist Party of China's General Secretary Jinping Xi cancels China's disgusting dog and cat meat trade industry. Stop it, Jinping Xi. End trading the meat of cats and dogs. What's wrong with you? Time to become a normal country. No traveling to China until uncivilized tyrant Jinping Xi makes dog meat illegal in China. Just like the independent, sovereign, democratic country of Taiwan has done. Let's go to problem number 2. Chinese people brutally bludgeoning dogs to death so they can turn dog skin into leather handbags. leather jackets, leather pants, leather skirts, leather shoes, leather belts, leather gloves. Look at the label of your winter leather gloves. If made in China, you're wearing on your hands the skin of dogs that were killed in the most heinous way. Throw your gloves away. Don't buy leather gloves. And same with golf gloves. Your Chinese manufactured golf gloves are made from the skin from the dog's scrotum. Scroll up. The golf gloves you're wearing are made from the testicle sac of a dog that was clubbed to death. Ever look at the label of your leather belts to see where they're made? If China, that's dog skin you're wearing around your waist. Stop wearing dog skin around your waist. How about your leather shoes? Made in China? If yes, you're wearing dog skin on your feet. Stop buying leather shoes. It's unethical to buy leather. Stop wearing dogs. John Malone, owner of QVC, Home Shopping Network. You should stop selling unjust leather goods made in China to unwittingly American citizens that have no idea the leather comes from dogs that were tortured and killed in the most inhumane way. It's unconscionable for QVC and Home Shopping Network to sell leather goods made in China. Stop it, Malone. It's wrong for any retailer like Alibaba to sell leather items made from dog skin. Stop it, Jack Ma. Stop it. All online leather should stop selling leather made in China like Ivanka Trump. Come on, Ivanka, stop it. Do the right thing. To everybody, don't visit China until Jinping Xi ends China's cruel dog skin leather industry. Problem number 3, China's fur apparel industry, run by Chinese no-moral manufacturers that are using dog and cat fur for fashion. If you purchase fur products made in China, you're supporting the slaughter of cats and dogs. Don't buy fur or any fur trim. Stop wearing animals that were tortured to death. Stop wearing animals. Be against the trade of cat and dog fur. Every country should ban importing fur from China so fewer animals are killed. End all fur imports from China. Need a global ban on fur imports from China. No tourism to China until Chinese dictator Jinping Xi implements animal cruelty laws and enforces them. End China's cruel fur industry. End China's cruel leather industry. And end China's cruel dog and cat meat trade industry.